Hey everybody, this is Petey from the Spirac, and we also have
Calvin Ellis ready to rock, and we do not have a chaperone.
well today I wanted to start so you can see the face of the man Jim Shooter and the article that he just signed away Secret Wars and Venom for $10. It's a typo. $10,000. I like saying that 10,000. They gave him an extra zero at the end past the decimal point. That's money. But do you see? Can you see the article here?
Yeah, I'm cool.
All right. So do you wanna? Can you read this for me? You have a better speaking voice than I do. I'm gonna mute
That whole,
myself and let you go.
where do you want from where to where? You put yourself on mute. Can't hear you.
This one clown called me from Marvel.
Okay, from top to bottom.
Yes.
All right, let's get it go. This one clown called me from Marvel. He wasn't an editor or anything. He was some executive in property management, which is a little odd. And he asked me if I wanted to write a novelization of Secret War. And I said, well, I'll consider it. So he sends me an offer, and the offer comes with a contract. And the contract was like this thick. And almost all of it was a retroactive work for hire. And it covered every possible conceivable way. If the court doesn't support that, your children have to go to jail. This is terrible. And it's just a draconian giant work for hire thing. And then there are 2 pages of what the deal was, and the deal was unacceptable anyway. I was like, no, I'm not doing this. It wasn't even a real offer. I guess maybe he thought I was desperate or something. So I turned him down, and then I get a call from his boss, Bob Bogart. And he's some executive vice president of something to do with the properties. And he apologized for this lower down guy who's trying to con me into signing over prior. He said, well, I can't really talk about it, but we would like to sign a work for hire. And I said, fine, send it to me. I did do work for hire. It's yours, just send me the papers. And he said, no, we're prepared to pay you $10,000 to sign your name. I said, you don't have to pay me anything. I know it was work for hire. What am I going to do? Lie about? But they don't have a single piece of paper that said that they own the Beyonder, Titania, typo there, Volcana, or any other character that we put in there, the new Spider-Woman for that matter, and the whole black costume thing, nothing, and no piece of paper to say they owned it. I said, you don't have to pay me. Send me the damn paper. I'll sign it. He said, take the money, dummy. I said, all right, I'll take it.
Thank you for that. It was beautiful, beautiful reading. And let me, since you just experienced it, what are your thoughts on that?
Is that for real?
Now, this for me, it is real. It is real. It said captured on video where he laid it out. Let's watch this. Let's see what's going on here. Can we get to this?
Tell them what you do.
No, not. She's really good though. This chick is really good.
I don't know who she is.
Too long ago, I think it's like last year, 2 years ago. Yeah. We briefly talked about it. I don't know how much you can or cannot say. Do you see the next phase of the MCU?
Oh, hold on. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Going towards Secret Wars?
uh, phase of the MCU. What do you
So
got?
in the Marvel movie verse that's kind of going on.
Oh, yeah.
To the next phase, especially with the scrolls. Do you
Yeah.
see it as a Secret War?
Well, I'll tell you what I know, which is this one clown called me from Marvel.
So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Yep, that's what he said. But you just read it started the same way. So people,
No, because I'm trying to understand if Shooter actually signed away the rights to all those characters for 10 grand.
now it sounds like yes, but at the same time, it doesn't. In my mind, it doesn't make any sense that only the sense that he would do that because it was under work for hire when in 83 he had a creator percentage at Marvel. So it's be what the 4% that Rob Liefeld talks about all the time.
Does that extend to him though, since he was editor in chief?
That's a good point. That's maybe the point why as editor chief having a desk job he basically said, well, I mean, he could push it, but then at the same time, he's being fair. That would make sense.
He seems like an executive where these guys are like, oh, we don't have any paper or anything of that nature. And he was like, he sounds like you guys don't know how to do your job. Okay. You don't need to, or anything like, or he knows his under his work thing was like, hey, anything you create as editor in chief, we own it. So don't even worry about it. Okay. Where somebody else ears would have perked up. Like, we don't have any paper that says we own it. It's like, oh, you have no paper, huh?
Click, click, my lawyers. Because I was saying Beyonder. I'm not saying that's if they're gonna do another move. I'm saying 4%. And I mean, I don't know because I've seen other things people talk about it online, and they say that.
I think he also understands he's not getting it. Maybe when Marvel was doing stuff, 4%. Disney.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're gonna get 0.04%.
Yeah, it's that would only reason would make sense because in my mind he talks about the he talks about the royalty program. I think Byrne talked about the 4% because he was talking about working as work for hire and understanding the agreement. He said, but it jokingly said, I do get 4% of Alpha Flight. If any of those characters, that's why they made me add Puck and Marina in there just so I could qualify for the creative percentage. So if they make an Alpha Flight movie, I would make money off of it. But yeah, it's a story that never really made sense since Shooter has talked about his royalty program, and Rob Liefeld's talked about the 4% thing all the time. So I'm just saying the basic 4% off of whatever the Beyonder is. But then, with that said, since you cleared, this is great. I totally threw Cal in there blind, and he just went up the bat, and he knocked it out of the park. But this leads to a bigger problem. Secret Wars, the movie. This is more my, I sometimes complain about Crisis, but Crisis at the same time, you already know I own what is it, the big edition of Crisis. So it's still something visually that I like, and there's moments I like. I don't like the idea that it was that sort of thing. Secret Wars, I was never with. And the idea that they're doing a Secret Wars movie or something on TV or animated or trying to bring the Beyonder, but the Beyonder specifically, and anything that'd really be odd if everything that he owned, he as an executive, he decided, you know what, I'm not going to play the game. I'm not going to do the Marv Wolfman thing. He's like, no,
they did Secret Wars animated already.
They did? Okay.
Yeah, they did that on the Spider-Man cartoon.
Okay.
So they already did Spider-Man. They did the whole Secret Wars and such. But Shooter has got to have already been when they did the black suit, because that's probably the one thing that I can remember coming out of Secret Wars that made it to others, that made it to the cartoon, that made it to the movies. So he's probably already been down a partial, a bit of this road at the end of the day. The other characters, to be quite honest, I mean, because there's a bunch of stuff that got created for Secret Wars. There's a bunch of stuff, but some new characters, a new locale. There was a new alien race. So there's a bunch of stuff that got created. There was a bunch of stuff that got created for Secret Wars. I'm pretty certain, and Shooter has always been somebody who seems to be about his business when it comes to this. So I'm pretty certain he's if he's relating this, he's probably like, hey, I don't know what this dude is talking about. I know who I'm dealing with. I'm not getting any money. What, you want to give me 10 grand? All right, I'll take it. I'll take it.
I assume that he was just trying to, be like, hey, I work for hire. Well, I was saying, what about you? You should still get a creative percentage. You created some things in your time at Marvel post 82 or wherever it was. But yeah, it's I don't know. It's a weird thing for that. I mean, I guess the Beyonder's lived past his initial beginnings, but it'd be crazy if they went the full Beyonder and tried to make the Beyonder into a movie. I would be really, it would be really weird. a phase something or another where the Beyonder is the new multiverse or whatever it is, where he keeps walking through the Marvel universe. It'd be scary to see that.
I don't think they can. One, I don't think they can pull something like that off. To be quite honest, a Beyonder type character, and it reminds me of what is this now? You sent me that video on John Carter where they were trying to make it. I mean, they made some mistakes, but one of the things about the technology, and the technology isn't there. I don't think the technology is ever there to render something like a Beyonder character. Whereas in comic books, you can do that stuff. You know, as long as you have as long as you have a great artist, as long as you have a competent artist, competent writer, you can have all of these things displayed without any problem. Once you get into film, live action, it becomes okay. How do we render this? How much money? You know, we got to cut back on the shots because these shots cost X amount of dollars, and this is going over budget. Whereas in the comic, hey, just put it and put in a couple more pages so I can do a double page splash, and that's pretty much the end of it. Two, I just don't know what you do with a character like that. It worked with Secret Wars because at the end of the day, as we like to remind people, Secret Wars was not about selling comics. Secret Wars was about selling toys, which they did pretty well, I believe. So anything that's held over is gravy. If the comics sold well, that's fine. But the comics weren't in support of the toys, and that was that. So my hope is that if we see Secret Wars in film, it's also in support of some really nice toys.
Oh man. With that said, the last bit, which I'm bringing up off the cuff. Oh man, I should have sent this to you a long time ago. Sorry for the brief delay. Oh, here we go. There's that. Let's go to my details. I don't know about that. Sorry. It's gotta be here. That's not it. Let me just put it on pause. So, with that brief delay, I have an actual memo from Shooter while he was doing Secret Wars about the success of the books, and this was caused a little controversy in the comic industry, and it's also in the Marvel: The Untold story. So Shooter, I think, tried to say this wasn't actual, but it's probably it kind of got egg on the face. But can you read that to us, and we'll end out the show?
You want me to read this even with the strikeouts?
All right. I mean, I'll give whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I'll do it. I'm trying to remember Shooter's voice. I'll just read it. Hey, God. Hold on. Date, April 27, 1984. From Jim Shooter to the editor. Subject, Secret Wars. Since I don't have a letter call to hype Secret Wars and myself, I'd appreciate some help. How about in your letter calls for the rest of the year mentioning how marvelous a job I'm doing and how being the EIC and therefore the ultimate authority on all characters and like unto the very God of the Marvel Universe. My work is absolutely perfect, definitive even. That seems to be the only gripe we're getting, that the characters are not exactly strike out as dull and boring, the same as they appear in the regular titles. If you guys would ask, if you guys would talk up the wonderful job I'm doing, we could trick the little fucks strike out, make it clearer to the charming readers that despite my stylistic differences from the other writers, we're writing the same characters. Only I write them better, strike out. Let's legitimize the hell out of it, okay? Jim Shooter.
When I read that, well, it's I guess it speaks for itself. But I will say, one of the hard parts of Secret Wars was that you had books that I was reading, which was like the Hulk, Fantastic Four, X-Men, sometimes the Avengers, And Thor was big at that point, right? Like Walt Simonson had just got on it, and you could see, I think his I guess it's his fifth issue. He walks into the Secret Wars, and then it goes back to regular storytelling. So we had Thor on track also. So as Secret War goes on, the characterization is like different from the comic books. And with Shooter kind of feeling, since the thing was selling more than like it was trading the top spot with the X-Men, the first one selling more than the X-Men, it's a feeling that, and I think that's what I think Byrne also said, that he was telling people to read Secret Wars to get such and such right as far as the characterization. One of the hard things is that you had these Marvel books selling like hotcakes, whereas in Secret Wars, Shooter wasn't writing them on a day-to-day basis, was saying these I'm writing as the EIC. I am the official voice on these characters. And he was almost going back to the way the Fantastic Four was before Byrne, the way Thor was before Simonson. I can't say the Hulk, because the way he was writing the Hulk was just sort of a guy who was just like volatile every 2 seconds, where Bill Mantlo was kind of doing this. He would lose his temper, but he wrote the Professor Hulk really sort of getting into Banner's psyche. So his voice was very strong on how he wrote that character. And Shooter just wrote him as a guy who just fly off the handle all the time, but really wasn't good in the fight. But so it was really, that's what really kind of bothered me, that we had these books that were kind of rolling, and books I wanted to read as a kid, but I was like, oh, this is Fantastic Four. I'm not getting it. I don't get why it's not like the cartoon, all those early ones. And even though Byrne was kind of weaving a little bits of the early and the later, but that voice that was in the early one was kind of there. Reed would have moments like when he would turn to the thing and be like, have to chastise the thing. He would have those moments, or he'd have the science moments. So Thor would be the character that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby was, rather than this guy who was like kind of arrogant in the Avengers. So the hard part is that Shooter kind of felt that he was writing them the right way, whereas he had these guys, these talents, really getting these characters on track, and he was like, no, Johnny Storm's a total D-bag, the entire thing. And it's like, no, like Johnny's a hothead, but he's not a D-bag. But it's like, no, Johnny's gonna be a total D-bag. He does, like, don't let the healer might not work on a mutant. Johnny would not. He's not his nephew is a mutant. He would not say something that ridiculous about a mutant. But that's my gripe. Any thoughts on your end?
Johnny Storm would say that if written by Jim Shooter. I don't know. It's Jim Shooter is a bit of a. I don't know. Jim Shooter for me is a bit of a hard one, because I have a lot of respect for the period that he was editor at Marvel. Without a doubt, he's one of the best editors Marvel had. And at the same time, you hear these stories about Shooter, and it's like, my God, you were really not trying to. You weren't into Fellowship, were you? Right? You're like, nah. He's like, nah, man. I gotta put these guys on the corner and put them in pumps in the right color so we can get this stuff going. But he seems to be more of an editor out of that almost out of that late golden, early silver age stuff, that Mort Wessinger thing. Like, nah, I gotta put these guys through their paces, make them work, this type of stuff. And then still at the end of the day, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Let me show them what the hell's going on. I'm gonna come over here. That's how you write these characters. And then the writers are probably like, but what about all this development we did over here? Yeah, whatever. Whatever. Look at these numbers. That's what this is over here. I remember one thing I saw from him. What did he do? It was him critiquing, but I thought it was fine. They were doing the cover for Batman versus the Incredible Hulk, and they were showing the covers that came before they got to that final cover. And one of the critiques he was making, if I remember correctly, if it was him, I believe it was, but one of the critiques he was making was about the foot, the way the foot was drawn with the Incredible Hulk. And he was like, no, you got to change the foot. The foot looks too dainty, like he's a ballerina or something of that nature. And then, I don't have the image here, and I think it was inside of the book as well. So if you have it, you can go and see it. But I looked at that, and then you look at the final, product. And you know, I'm like, you can argue as to whether or not the correction needed to be made, but that attention to detail, you know, really, you know, opened my eye to what editing is supposed to be, where you're supposed to be thinking about those particular things, where the artist is trying to render a dynamic pose, and you're like, no, 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 you know, this, that, and the other. Hey, that looks great, but why is his hand here? It looks suggestive. Move the hand, do these type of things, and the artist isn't really supposed to be thinking about it. So even here, this is, you know, still classic Shooter, you know, for me at the end of the day. Like, yeah, I don't know who this dude is. You want to give me money? Give me money. You know,
Yeah.
I'll take the money. You don't really have to give me anything. You do understand. Oh, you still want to give me money? All right, give me money. Yeah, some clown.
Yeah.
Some clown gave me $10,000. Learn to write.
Well, yeah, it's also interesting. I hadn't remembered that he did speak at the Marv Wolfman trial, talking about, you know, editor-in-chief, you know, I think he might have, I think he probably was around when Marv was there for a little while. Yeah, I think he was definitely there. He was there when I think Jerry Conway was running the show too. So he was, because of that, he was at the Marv Wolfman trial. Now, there's a few other people outside of, but he doesn't really get pulled on hot coals for being at that trial. The only one who gets it is Byrne, because he said, why would we go after Shooter when we got Byrne in there? But anyway, like the idea that he would stay in the same sort of lane as that is basically saying, hey, you know, I got no qualms or no rights to these characters. I created them under a work for hire agreement. So my only thing was the 4% thing, which I felt it was he said that was his plan. So, but it would make sense, him being an editor or editor in chief, part of management, that he couldn't really take part in it. He could be the one to implement the freelancers to keep the incentive to keep them there, but at the same time, as someone with a desk job and getting paid regularly, that makes really sense of that, which you said, you know, which you kind of said, which was a good hypothesis to me in my mind. So, but thank you. We really didn't expect to do this episode. I just thought about it for 2 seconds. Oh no, I think I saw it on Bleeding Cool, and I was like, oh yeah, let's get into this one. And you made it a lot better than I expected we'd get. I didn't think we'd get this much out of it.
Because we had free control. No editorial interference. Totally fine to do whatever we wanted.
I don't know if Mars would have gone with the reading of the second piece, but we got away with it.
I love that line. Yeah, tricked a little.
All right.
Consider out.
Laters.
Later.